What's going on, guys? It's Frito here for your Overwatch. New experimental card just went up, and we're going to take a look at the patch notes and give a quick review of what Blizzard's trying to do here. First change is to Baptiste. The devs say that these nerfs are coming through in order to tune down his overall power to compensate for the recent buffs to Biotic Launcher and Amp Matrix. They're going to take some durability out of Immortality Field and increasing the cost of his ultimate once again. So if you remember, when that previous patch with Baptiste and Symmetra and Widow came through, I overall was scared at those changes, and if you've watched any Overwatch live stream in the past few weeks, I think you can see that it has had some pretty adverse side effects into the game. Now, what these changes aim to do is allow you to interact with Immortality Field in a more meaningful way. This 150 health number is really important to me. The second one, not so much. We'll get to that in a sec. But if you think about it, 2 Reinhardt swings can cleave this. Winston now will take a little bit less to kill this on his own when he's cleaving into a bunker. And that's just one hero, right? Like, obviously there's lots of other damage sources and breakpoints to think about, but things like that are the things that I think about immediately, because often Lamp is safe around a corner and the best characters that can force their way in to go attack it at all just can't kill it fast enough to meaningfully do anything. So now with this number going down, then that is the case, whether you're, you know, a Lucio needing to fire 3 actually less shots into it in order to take it down. Now you'll actually be able to pressure this out when you're committing onto it. It'll still be insane at range no matter what, because if it's at range out of line of sight in a Widow battle, the Widow that has one versus one that doesn't just wins for free, right? On a corner is always going to be insane for the right map, but their intention here is that you more easily can swarm it, and you'll be punished more for using Lamp out in the open where it can easily be targeted. I think with 200 health, it was too good at interacting with things and in the chaos of a fight, and it not really being forced to use in its best case scenario, especially considering how powerful it is. Immortality, you should have to use it in really discreet ways. So I'm not necessarily convinced this lowers his power level necessarily, because if you just play it better, do you do all of the same things? Kind of. So I don't think Baptiste being strong is necessarily going away, but this does allow you to run him over in certain contexts. So we'll see how that pans out. Amplification Matrix, however, this number isn't too impactful to me because his area of effect healing went down. They kind of gave it back a bit with his Biotic Launcher, but his regenerative burst ability was the thing that I thought was really OP for Amp Matrix charge rate. But this reduction now in the speed it takes for you to get your ultimate will help compensate for the 1080p window effect that can be used as a team ult together. And especially when you combine with Immortality Field with Amp Matrix, his ult fight got a lot better than it used to be. I think that's something a lot of players don't realize, is that now that you can use Amp Matrix for the whole team, that means you can set up Immortality Field in better positions in conjunction with it, so that there's like a amplifying effect of everything. Once you start to change one thing and give it the flexibility to be applied in more situations, then it cascades and snowballs into much more power. So that's how I feel it has worked with Baptiste. We'll see if those changes are successful. The next 2 are pretty nutty, and I'm just gonna say these are some over-the-top tank changes, and due to how weak tanks are, I don't even know if I want to object, but it's the type of changes that we should be fearful of on paper. And let's take a look. They're looking at changing the armor to health ratio on D.Va so that she's able to withstand more damage from shotguns, beams, and weapons with high rates of fire. So D.Va's mech armor health is being redistributed to no longer be 200 to 400, but back to some of its glory GOATS era days of 300 and 300. The interesting thing to me with D.Va, and why I put up a red flag with this kind of change, is that she's a character that has widespread misunderstanding of how to play her. The best example I can give to you, D.Va players, is checking out YEATLE's Unranked to Grandmaster in one sitting stream, playing D.Va only outside of voice chat. A lot of ranked players think D.Va is weak, but I think if you watch a player like YEATLE play her, and just play absolutely pristine, not making a mistake, not playing her outside of what she's supposed to do, and only doing the best play possible that he can find at the time, that misconception that D.Va is a weak tank just vanishes away. But what most players attempt to do with D.Va is face tank with her like she is Zarya, when in reality what she's best at is securing off angles, punishing flanks, and stabilizing the perimeter of the team fight, not being the core of the team fight. And when you just gift her extra stats, I feel it's like just saying, oh, it's okay, D.Va players, you don't have to play correctly, you can just get right in there and overwhelm people with stats. The truth is, when you do that kind of stat redistribution on a character, then YEATLE's playstyle will still be good, but he'll also be able to just extend further and dominate even harder. That being said, this type of overpowered tank change might let a character like D.Va more easily compete in the average ranked context with the powerhouse tank characters like Sigma, Roadhog, and Wrecking Ball by having something OP about her like they have something OP about them. And the final change on the experimental card is to Reinhardt. The developers say the intent of these changes is to slightly bolster Reinhardt's frontline presence once he closes the distance with an enemy. The increased rocket hammer damage will reduce the number of swings necessary to eliminate some heroes, that's a breakpoint, something that we keep bringing up in the past few weeks of videos, but the devs go on to say, so we'll be keeping a close eye on the overall impact of this change. So two things, base armor has been increased from 200 to 250, so that just means he has extra 50 life, but more importantly, it's armor life, the best kind in the game, basically. So all the benefits that D.Va has, just even more so. And on top of that, his rocket hammer goes to the glory days of, if I remember correctly, this was the 132 experiment number, 85 damage a swing. Glory, glory, hallelujah. This is such an insane damage number with none of the trade-offs that the 132 version of Reinhardt had. And the reason why I'm flipping out about this is that this is such an incredible buff to breakpoints of the game, and it made Reinhardt a terror in the 132 experiment. I don't even know, if he would have been meta in that context with only one tank, but alas, it's that kind of power into the 222 format. And if you compare, I'm gonna put these up side to side, the number of hammer swings it took to get to these different values, the more swings we talk about, the more that this starts to apply. Keep in mind, of course, when Reinhardt gets in the middle of your team, swinging in a circle, he's hitting multiple things potentially. So the 2 swing value means that a melee from any other teammate is going to confirm a kill on a squishy. The 3 swing value now bumps it up so that he can solo duel 250 health point targets, though some of them are tanky and have their own cooldown, so it's not as precise as that. Reaper and Mei are kind of the best ones for that, get to reload on their cooldown escape usage, so maybe combining with a fire strike, but mechanic-wise, you should be able to duel them and feel you bully them more than they bully you. And as we get higher and Ryan stays in the team fight longer, 4 swings will have done 40 extra damage than it did in the past, meaning that in these extended brawls, Reinhardt will start to leverage his damage up against some of the other tank characters, particularly ones that have damage that used to beat him rather easily. I'm thinking like he'll start to feel like he has a chance up against Roadhog and Sigma, and especially perhaps the biggest change of all of this is that he'll be getting Earth Shatter much faster, which might help compensate for how weak the ultimate became after the stun duration nerf, or just the fact that now that when you get Earth Shatter, your damage is higher, that you will now be able to confirm more kills that you Earth Shatter than you did before. So the stun won't last as long, but you do so much extra damage in a big group swinging the hammer that you're going to be confirming a lot more kills with Earth Shatter, giving that kit and Reinhardt as a role back that big spike of carry potential that he used to be able to leverage prior to the tank role kind of taking a big hit. So these are some experimental changes to certainly be interested in. We'll have to be monitoring how this affects the gameplay moving forward. Blizzard looks to have seen the Baptiste bunker style comp emerge again and instead tried to buff up the stats of tanks that want to go in to try to let them roll over those comps. It's an interesting balance strategy for sure, not the ones that I was asking for, but we'll see how it pans out and be updating you in future as we monitor how this affects the playstyles of the game. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to leave it a like. It really does help us out, lets us know that you're enjoying the content, and if you haven't already, click subscribe and be sure to hit the bell icon to actually get notified when our videos go live. That's been it for me. I've been Frito for Your Overwatch. We'll see you guys next time.